In part one of my DIY built-in series, I built cabinets for the first time on a 3/4 inch plywood. I built face frames, and this week I am adding a add-on to a Billy bookcase for an Ikea hack, adding framing, doing a hardwired sconce hack, building drawers and shaker style cabinets, installing them, painting the built-ins, and finishing this whole thing up, and also installing the marble countertops and a bunch of trim. So you're going to see the finished product in this video, so be sure to stick around. Hello friends, how are you? My name is Corbin Reed and welcome back to my YouTube channel if you are new. So I say this often if you've been a part of my channel for a while, subscribing, following along. I am excited to share today's video with you, but today is an extremely exciting day because this is a culmination of 2.5 years of learning how to woodwork. From reading about it, watching other people do it, and of course doing it myself and practicing. This is my biggest build ever. It's a combination of woodworking, just building cabinets myself, building drawers, an Ikea hack, a Hardwire sconce hack, installing marble countertops, leveling. There was so much learning that went into this process. So I jam-packed it all into this one single video because Christmas is just right around the corner, and I want to make sure I can get to all of the really awesome decorating content that I love to do and get it out to you guys in a timely fashion. A lot of firsts in this video. At the end, you're going to see the reveal. You're going to see the built-ins completely done. They are behind me. And then in the next video, I'll be styling them and also adding some LED floating shelves with built-in rechargeable lights and brass gallery rails. That is a mouthful. So be sure to come back for that. But if you guys watch this video and you enjoy it, please, please, please leave a comment down below, okay? Like the video and subscribe. All of those things help YouTube to know that you guys are enjoying my content, and I really would love it if this video would get picked up by the algorithm. It was so much work, and I'm so proud of the work I did, and I really think that a lot of the things in this video are going to help you all at home. So please be sure to do those 3 things if you watched this video and enjoyed it. And without further ado, let's get into this video. Good morning. It's very early, but I'm trying to get a jump on the tedious things that I have to do today. I'm doing a lot of framing and framing, electrical, and leveling stuff. So anyways, I'm gonna show you this Hardwire hack. I'm gonna show you a really cool hack for Hardwire, fake a Hardwire for a sconce in a built-in. So the first thing you wanna do is get a hardwired sconce. I got this one very inexpensive at a World Market. These are the pieces. This gets plugged into the wall. The end of the extension cord gets plugged in here, and then you're gonna use this to turn it on and off. I'll show you. All you're gonna wanna do is rewire the sconce, and then plug this guy in to the wall. I'm gonna show you how these are gonna go on top of the built-ins. And I saw this on some other YouTuber stuff, but you basically just go like this, and you have a hardwired light, basically. So I'm gonna filter this down through the back of the shelf, and then this will get turned on like this, and then it works as basically like almost like a hardwired sconce for your built-ins. I built these extension pieces to go on top of this, to go on top of the Billy bookcase. And basically what will happen is at the lip here, I'll add that light that I showed you. I'll string the electrical through here and out the back where I added a 1/4 inch piece of plywood. And it'll all be hidden behind the bookshelf. So it'll look completely like hardwired and built in to the wall when it's really just built behind the bookshelf. So I'm gonna get started on leveling everything, and then I am going to attach this to the top of the bookcases. So in order to attach this, I did drill Craig pocket holes into the sides and then attach it with Craig pocket hole screws. And it totally worked once the sconce was attached. You can see my excitement here. And that little device I'm using is going to go on the wall right next to the bookcase so that when I walk by, I can just turn it on and off. And the head of that sconce does flex up and down, so I'll be sure to link that down below in case you're interested in purchasing it. So next step was adding trim to the bookcase. This is really going to beef up the bookcases and make them look high-end and expensive and custom and not like an Ikea hack. So these are pieces that I bought from the hardware store. I had them rip down a board that was 8 inches to be 1.5 inches for the trim. That was just the most cost-effective way to do it. And then I am using my Ryobi brad nailer to just basically nail them onto the sides of the bookcase, and I will also cut down a bunch of pieces to run them along the fronts of the bookcase, so the whole thing will look framed out the same way that the cabinets have a face frame. It will look like the bookcases have a face frame. And this is just a really easy way to hack a Billy bookcase. It's super sturdy. You just need to get the right length of nails. Next up, I'm using this correct pocket hole jig to add, sorry, not pocket hole jig. I'm using, it's a pin, it's for the pins for the shelf. So it makes it easy to add them in all at the same height so that the shelf is level, this jig. And it also, there's a stop on the collar of the drill so that the holes are all at the exact same length, and you adjust it for the length of the plywood so they don't go through the plywood instead of just trying to freehand measure and drill the holes yourself. And then I'll be able to add a shelf in there and slide it up and down as needed depending on what I put on the shelf. So before I could add the countertops, I had to level them off, which was definitely a new process for me. I thought it was going to take us like a couple minutes. It took hours, but basically you just get shims and you have to go through, and I make it look easy here, but it takes a long time. You add shims with a hammer or a mallet, and then you check to see if it's level, and then you add more if it's not level, and it's just kind of a ongoing process. You add them on the backs and also on the bottoms of the cabinets to level them out. So as you can see behind me, the shelves are all framed out, which is very exciting. And I am now going to, everything's also super sturdy to the wall. I've leveled everything, which took way longer than I thought it would. And everything's drilled into the studs. I'm not concerned about anything tipping or falling or anything like that. Everything is super duper sturdy. So that is super, super exciting. So now all that is left for me to do is just trim. I'm gonna put some trim here. I'm gonna put some trim over there in the corner. I'm gonna put some trim there, and the rest, and a couple maybe down at the bottom and up against where the bookshelves meet the wall, just to cover the gaps and make everything look built in. I think I have enough trim here to get through it, hopefully, but that'll be the last step before I can caulk and put the primer and my first coat of paint on. So that's what's coming up next. Now, after all of the trim was added, I did go ahead and tape everything off. I have some craft paper down on the floor just to protect the floor. I prefer that to plastic. And I will be painting the shelves in Silk Chamois by Benjamin Moore and priming them with Zinsser primer, my favorite primer. And I also did need to sand and fill and sand all of the holes from the brad nails and some of the pocket holes and things like that with wood filler. So you will see very quickly that the paint is where the transformation really happens here. It is important to prime the Billy bookcase specifically because it's vinyl. The wood is a lot more forgiving. You don't have to prime it, but the Billy bookcase is cheap, sort of laminate material, and you need to prime it for the paint to stick to it. So I highly recommend the Zinsser bin primer. You do not need to sand if you are using that. The shellac base is a really good one, but the water base would also work just as well. You just may want to do a light sanding if you are going to use that one. So this is what the shelves look like after a coat of primer. I only did one coat. I only felt like I needed one coat. But you can already see the transformation happening here. And now I'm just going in with the Silk Chamois by Benjamin Moore and painting all of the bookcases and all of the outsides of the cabinets. I'm not painting the insides. I like them wood. It's nice sanded plywood. And I did need to do 2 coats, and I did use the cabinet paint by Benjamin Moore. They have a very nice high-end line of cabinet paint, so it's only an extra $15 to $20. Don't skimp on paint. It's just not worth it, because in the long run, if it chips or scuffs, you're going to have to go back and do the work all over again. So just spend that extra money and get it right the first time. So I'm just using a roller and then cutting in with an angled brush to paint the shelves. This was a huge pain in the butt. It was a mammoth task getting in all these crevices and cracks. And you do want to caulk, I didn't show it on camera, but you do want to caulk the bookshelves, all the cracks and everything before you paint. It just makes it look more finished. And this is how it turned out. Now the sound did go out on this video, but the marble countertops I picked up from Facebook Marketplace, and they came off of someone else's fireplace. I did cut them down myself, but they came with this glue, and I got most of it off with a chisel and a mallet, which is crazy. It took forever, but I was able to level it out with shims, so I just did the best that I could. There was a gap in the back, so when I did install it with shims and just some liquid nails, after leveling it, I just put some liquid nails under there to secure it to the base of the cabinets. So I just took a piece of pine and created a little backsplash situation that I will be painting later. Just helped to fill the gaps, and then I went in with this sort of gap filling insulation, and then went over that with spackling and caulk because it was a pretty big gap. But it looks completely flush and uniform once it's painted, and it just looks professional and finished. And then I attached it to the wall just using some brad nails that were the appropriate depth. And then after that, I'm just painting it the same color as the cabinets, this Silk Chamois by Benjamin Moore. And as you can see, it beautifully just disappears into the wall, but it has a nice little texture and finish. So it's like you never knew it was there. And I do like to take the tape off before the paint dries. You just have less of a risk removing it and taking paint off the actual item. Now there is a crack there, and I did go around and fill it with this dowel as a trim, and that also gets painted the same Silk Chamois color. It's just because there was glue on the bottom, there was a bit of a lift, so I just attached that using brad nails. You'll see, maybe you'll be able to tell in the finished product, but it just created a more professional uniform look, and there are no gaps or cracks anywhere, so it just looks flush and filled in all the way around the bookshelf. Trim is a very key step. Do not skip it. To make the shaker cabinet doors was a process that was pretty similar. If you have not watched the cabinet build, go back and watch that. But basically, I cut my pieces down, the rails and the stiles, to my custom measurements for the cabinets, and then I am just routering a rabbit groove, I believe they call it, or maybe they call it a dado groove, into the boards, and that is where the panel for the cabinets is going to slide in. I will show you later, but basically the way you accomplish this is you run the pieces through the blade 3 different times, and you just move the fence over a little bit every time to create that groove uniform on all of the boards. And then I'm just cutting down the panels for the center of the shaker cabinets out of 3/4 inch, I'm sorry, out of 1/4 inch plywood. And that is just going to slide in between all the pieces, which you will see here in a second. If you want some videos on how to really get into the nitty-gritty of getting these measurements, I will leave them linked down below. This is my first time doing this, so I don't consider myself a teacher, but I'll leave some for how I learned. And now I am just putting the styles of the frame into the Craig jig and just drilling pocket holes, and that is how I'm going to assemble the frame of the cabinet. You can see the pocket holes there. That is for the stiles, which is basically the horizontal part of the cabinets. And then I assemble them using my right corner 90-degree clamps there and 1 1/4 inch pocket screws. And then you can see how that 1/4 inch panel slides nicely into the grooves that I created on all 4 sides. And then I will just be attaching that shaker box with my 1 1/4 inch screws and some wood glue in the grooves. And it's just a beautiful panel. Now these are the doors all done. And next up was the making of the drawers. Now this process is very similar to making any box that you've seen in this video. I just cut down the pieces all to the same height. It's going to be 4 pieces put together in a box, and then I'll be creating rabbit grooves into the box to slide a 1/4 inch piece of plywood into the base for the bottom of the drawer. So right now I'm just cutting down the sides and the fronts of the drawer on my table saw. Again, they're all going to be the same height, but just some different lengths. And again, if you want I'll leave some links down below for how I learned how to get these measurements. But basically, you just want the drawer width to be smaller than the opening of your face frame, and also small enough to add the ball bearing slides to the side. Those are usually about a 1/2 inch thick, so those two together would be 1 inch thick. And I need a spacer, also a 1/2 inch thick spacer to add, which I will show you later. But this is just me cutting down the rails and stiles for the drawer fronts, and those are the same width as the shaker cabinet doors. I definitely figured out later that I need to use a push block, so please stay out of the comments with that. This is my first time using a table saw for a project, so you know, when you're making narrow cuts like this, use a push block. This saw does come with one, so I did figure that out. I do not cut like that anymore, and I do not recommend cutting without one. So this is all of the sides and the front of the drawers, and this is just me. I reset the depth of the saw to a little bit under, I think about a 1/4 inch, and high off of the base of the table saw, and I'm just running all of the pieces through there. And again, I move the fence 3 different times. Usually I start at a 1/4, I move it over about a 1/2, and then I tap it back an 1/8, and that gives me a perfect 1/4 inch groove in the board to slide that 1/4 inch plywood through there for the base of the drawer. And then of course I'm adding pocket hole screws here. This is to the front of the drawers, because once you build the box, the fronts where the holes are going to be covered up with the face of the drawer. So it's okay to have holes in the front, and the back of the drawer will never be seen because it'll be inside of the cabinet. So you want to make sure you add those pocket holes to the front and the backs of the drawers. And then there's the dado groove on the inside. And again, I'm assembling this using my right angle corner clamps. These are just helpful to act as an extra set of hands to hold it at a perfect 90-degree angle, and then you can easily drive in your 1 1/4 inch screws into the boards. And now I am adding wood glue into those grooves, and you will see in a second here that the bottom of the drawer, this 1/4 inch panel slides right in there nicely. And then this is the back of the drawer here, and it just fits on there as well. And then I will just be attaching that with the 1/4 inch, 1 1/4 inch pocket hole screws. And there is the finished product, you guys. A sturdy, beautiful drawer made out of 3/4 inch plywood and 1/4 inch plywood. I was very excited. That was my first box, and I did build 3. 2 of them are the same size, and 1 is a little bit deeper than the other 2, but they are all the same width and length. And then this is just me building the drawer front the exact same way I built the shaker style cabinets, just a little bit different measurements. Again, I am building inset cabinets. I will leave the videos down below for how I got these exact measurements, but the process is the same. You just do rails, stiles, pocket hole screws, those dado grooves or rabbit grooves, and inserting the 1/4 inch plywood face. And then I had to spackle and fill all of the holes for the pocket holes on some of the cabinets, and also just like the seams, because I want it to look as flat and flush as possible. And then I'm just going in with a angled brush to paint the fronts of the drawers, just the fronts, the same silk chamois by Benjamin Moore, and I also painted all of the cabinets. I did prime those with Zinsser and then went over them with paint 2 coats, front and back.
So these are spacers that I cut to the same height as the frame, and I'm just going to be adding this piece onto here so that the drawer slides can mount on top. And I'm using a 1 inch wood screw so that they don't go through the cabinet, since they're both combined about 1 1/4 inch. Very hard for me to show you, but you can kind of see here there's a spacer now, so it's flush with the face frame, so the drawer slide will be able to slide out just like this one.
So this is what the drawer slides look like once they are installed with the spacer on the back. Again, this is the spacer is there just so that when the cabinets go in, they can be flush with the face frame because they are inset cabinets. You can do overhang cabinets. I just liked the look of inset cabinets, although they are very hard to line up the cracks and the gaps. But once you have the spacers and the drawer slides installed, I am just using a 1/4 inch piece of plywood underneath the drawer to give it a bit of a lift so that when the face frame goes on, I can still have those 1/8 inch gaps around it. You see me there sliding that in. And then I pull the drawer slide attachment out and attach it with some screws on the side of the drawers, and that way it's level and flush and you know, is easy to pull in and out. I will leave these drawer slides linked down below. They come in various sizes. You just want to make sure whatever size you buy is short enough to fit obviously inside of the cabinet and also the length of the drawer, but they come in like 12, 14, 16, 20, 22. But I'll leave the ones I got down below. I believe these ones are 14 inches long, even though my the depth of my cabinets is like 20 inches or something like that. And after everything, you know, was measured and all of that, it was time to install the drawers, and those slides come out once they're screwed on. You can just clip them back into place. You see me sliding them in there. And it's very easy to remove them. There's a tab on the side. And lastly, I was installing the cabinet doors. These hinges are soft close hinges, and they do come with a template for installing the doors. It was way too hard for me to show this to you guys. I had to make several adjustments with cutting, cutting the cabinets down. I think I cut off 1/8 of an inch afterwards. Getting the measurements right is hard, but I did add spacers to these cabinets as well before I added on the hinges so they were flush with the face frame. And now I am just using my speed square to measure out where the cabinet hardware goes. I believe I did about 3 inches down and 1.5 inches over. I just like the look of that. These are beautiful brass hardware knobs from Etsy. I will leave that seller link down below, but I have these all over my house. I use them in my laundry nook and a bunch of other places, but they're really, really beautiful, affordable knobs that are 100% brass, unlacquered brass, and I just love the way they look and also the way they feel. They have that antiqued brass look. It's not super shiny. And once they were attached, these soft close hinges were working beautifully, and you know, the gaps aren't perfect, but it was my first build and I'm fine with it. I'm fine with them not being perfect. Inside cabinets are the hardest cabinets to build. And this is how everything turned out, you guys. I am so proud of this project. It adds a ton of beauty and function to my living room. I cannot wait to decorate those shelves for Christmas. And I have so much more storage, the drawers, and also inside of these cabinets I have shelves. And then the marble countertop just adds interest. I love that it has that sage green, and then of course the lighting from the sconces that come off the bookshelves, and the brass hardware. It's just really beautiful and functional at the same time. And it's my biggest build to date. I'm just so proud of how everything came together. And I'm just showing you here my storage and those really satisfying soft close hinges. I did go ahead and add liner to the tops of the shelves. Those are just plywood pieces that I cut down and attached with those shelf pins from the shelf pinholes that I drilled. And I also love on the bookcases, I'm hiding away all my glassware now, so I can just put out the decorative stuff on the shelves, like the vases and things like that. And then I have these drawers. I also added liner to those. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Part 3, I will be styling up these shelves and also adding some floating shelves that I will be building that have built-in LED rechargeable lights and brass gallery rails. And they will go in the white spaces on these walls to add even more beauty and function to this built-in space that I'm so excited to decorate for the holidays. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for tuning into today's video. I really hope you enjoyed watching me put this whole built-in behind me together. I plan on having a Christmas party first week of December, so I'm excited to share my work with my friends and just enjoy the fruits of my labor. This will kind of be like a little bar area, so that'll be really fun and festive, and I obviously can't wait to decorate the shelves. So be sure to join me in the next video for the DIY floating shelves with built-in LED rechargeable lights and brass gallery rails that will be going on the white part of the wall to sort of fill it in and give it a nice warm wood look and finish off this space for entertaining and all of that. And I have a lot more fun Christmas content that will be coming your way in the season. So I have a home decor haul for Christmas decor coming that may come out before the built-ins. But anyways, if you like this video, please be sure to hit that subscribe button, and so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. Please be sure to leave a comment down below, even if it's just a heart emoji, or even better, tell me your favorite part, or if there's anything that you learned watching this video, if there's anything else you want to see from me, if there's anything else you're going to try in your own home, I would love to hear about it. I love this community that I'm building here on YouTube. And if you're not following me over on Instagram, be sure to follow me over there. I share more minute-to-minute like things. If I go to the thrift store and I find something cool, or a flea market or a vintage store, or my DIYs, I'll update my Instagram before I update on YouTube, because YouTube takes longer to edit. So just be sure to follow me over there. And yeah, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in to today's video, and I'll see you very soon with another one. Bye.